Hello, everyone, and today's topic is in continuation from what I posted on Instagram. I talked about how to be more productive and how a lot of people think they're being productive, but actually they're not. A lot of people confuse with sitting on a computer desk or sitting on their work table and thinking at the end of the 4 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours, and think, oh, wow, they've worked very hard. Yeah, you might have actually worked very hard, but the question that you've got to ask yourself is, were you productive? That is the question. The question is not how many hours you're putting in. The question is how many quality hours you're putting in. How productive are you being? Because what happens in this day and age is you have got billion distractions. Like if I take my own example, if I sit to work, my WhatsApp is going off, my Instagram is going off, my Messenger is going off, my phone is going off. It's either my clients are constantly messaging me, students are messaging me, sales leads are constantly messaging me, my team is messaging me, or somebody or the other is always interrupting me. So I could sit on the computer for an hour, and by the end of 1 hour, I might have only been productive in reality for 10 minutes. And that actually has happened many times until I did this. And what I mean by this is, and this is from many years, like from the last 5, 6 years more. And this is my advice to everybody out there, especially if you are a young entrepreneur, you're working from home, you're working in the online sphere, on the internet, where you are not being monitored and your role, your job, or your work is very creative and a lot of thinking needs to be done. Because what happens is, let's say you're sitting on a computer, you're writing something, you're creating something, you're editing something, and the phone rings or the WhatsApp message comes, you get distracted and go onto YouTube or WhatsApp order, then you come back. Now, if it's a manual job, then you can just go back to stacking shelves. But if it's creative, then you have to regroup your thoughts, you have to gather your thoughts again, you have to figure out where you were, what you were doing, and start from there. So you can easily end up wasting a lot of time. So my first advice is you need to start doing things in blocks. And what I mean by that is, when I say blocks, is you pick a time period of somewhere between 10 to 30 minutes. See, when I first started applying this strategy, was I set myself a 15-minute timer, and I realized that I could not concentrate even for a minute. And I have massive attention issues. I've always had those, that I very easily get distracted. I'm doing something, the next minute I'm distracted with something else. So my 15 minutes for me was very ambitious. 15 minutes of concentration is not a big deal, but people who have concentration or attention challenges, it's a huge challenge. Even 15 minutes, even 15 seconds sometimes. So I went right down to 2 minutes, and that was my starting point. So I would do 2 minutes, and then only then I would check my WhatsApp or whatever. So then I would go back and I would do 2 minutes again. So now I've come to a point that where I can work continuously, being productive, before I start getting bored, before I start getting restless, before my messages pile up too much. So for me, my productive work window is somewhere between 25 to 30 minutes. So I'll do 25 to 30 minutes, and then I'll take a break. Now that break could be 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minutes, but generally for every 20 to 30 minute work productive period, you should give yourself 5 minutes break. And for every three to four such productive sessions of 20, 30 minutes, then you should give yourself half an hour to 1 hour break. Now, this will vary from a person to person, but the point is, when you give yourself the time, productive work period block, then you don't answer anything. You might want to have an emergency phone, that if it rings, only then you're going to get distracted. I've got two phones. One is an emergency phone, and one is my regular phone. So if this rings, then I know I need to answer. If this is going off, that's okay. It's nothing's urgent, and at least not something that can't wait for half an hour. So set your systems in place. You might have a different ringtone for emergency, like for your family or whatever it is. But when you set that block, do not get distracted. Nothing should let you interrupt you. So do those 25, 30 minutes, and then you take a break. And what you'll find is it's immensely powerful. Before you realize, you'll start getting so many things done. Now, here's another very powerful tool that I'm going to give you, that how do you know you're being productive? That's the big question. How do you know that the work, the hours that you're putting in, are they worth something? Do they mean something? Here's the thing. So you've got to start tracking how many things you're getting done, finished, completion. A lot of people are working and they're not getting things done. What are you actually putting out? I'll share a very interesting story. Our last media manager, Arun, so I would also sometimes, and this happens with everybody. This happens with my current team also. This has happened with me as well. This happens with everybody. Sometimes you'll be sitting on your desk and you're actually working, right? But if I walk up to you and at the end of 8 hours and say, show me what you've done, and you've got nothing to show for. And this is a very common problem with people who are highly creative or perfectionists. What happens with these people is you're constantly you got all these creative ideas, you're looking at something, you're reading something, you're learning something new. All those things are wonderful. But if you want to be successful, you want to achieve something, then your goal has got to be on being productive at finishing tasks. So if I walk up to say, show me what you've done, the world is always going to measure you by the runs on the board, not how creative you are, how wonderful ideas you've got. There are a lot of people who got wonderful ideas. But at the end of the day, people who are successful are the ones who are getting things done. So here's another thing. So there's two P's, and this is something that we often talk in our office. I always tell people, and this is more prudent for people who take a lot of pride in their work. They think, I want to. It's my name was on it. I want to do an A grade job. That is great. But again, I'll go back to if you are not delivering, if you're not doing anything, if you're not putting things out, if you're not finishing tasks, it's pointless. So my advice is, rather than focusing on perfection, you should focus on progression. That means getting things done. Once you've got on a roll, now I'm not saying that you should never strive for perfection, but once you've got things going, then you can start striving for perfection. You can start working on things and make them better. But if you are one of those people who's always striving for perfection, but you've got nothing to show for, which was often the case with Arun, I was like, okay, what have you done? What's your portfolio like? There's nothing. You've got all these 50 billion things which are unfinished, and you're constantly trying to upgrade yourself, and you learn new skills and new strategies, new techniques and all that. But what is the finished product? Let's take an example for a fitness influencer. And if you're a new person, you're a new online coach, you're a fitness influencer, you got all these wonderful ideas, crazy ideas, you're learning all these new skills. And a lot of times people will come to you and say, Coach, I've been struggling for 6 months and my page is not growing, I'm not getting any leads, and I'm working so hard. And I said, okay, you know what? Send me your Instagram link. So I'll go to their page. In 6 months, they posted 10 reels. They posted like 30 posts. The fact of the matter is, often people are thinking they're working very hard, they're doing so much, but you're not. So the goal is, guys, you've got to put things out. You've got to finish tasks. You've got to finish your complete task. If you're trying to prepare for an exam, you're trying to learn something, have you finished that chapter? Can you go back and attempt the exam and do it? So do things in blocks. And second thing is progression over perfection, and focus on finishing tasks. You'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish and how far you would have come if you're constantly finishing tasks, completing tasks. And my advice to anybody is that start with just 4 hours of productivity. So where you can proudly and confidently say, looking in the mirror, that I actually worked for 4 hours. And your definition of those working 4 hours is being productive 4 hours. Like if you say that I worked for 1 hour, that means that 1 hour is excluding those 5-minute breaks, excluding those 10 minutes breaks, excluding those WhatsApp messages checking, excluding replying to those people. That yes, for you to be productive for 1 hour, it might take you 2 hours. But you do not have the right to say I worked for 2 hours. You only worked for 1 hour. The other 1 hour was miscellaneous. It just all went in the air. You got nothing to show for. So that's my advice for those who ask me, boss, can you make a full-length video on this? I had few people message me. after I posted that on Instagram, and you can click on the link here to watch that video. And hope you enjoyed it. Any other topics you want me to cover, pop in below, and or any questions, I'll do my best. On that note, bye for now, and go crush your goals. And as I always say, the money's out there. The question is, do you have what it takes to make it? Bye for now.